Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out our first game from the LD27 competition with the theme 10 seconds. This game is called 6 Beats Per Minute and it is by developer Torch. The goal here, as you can see denoted in the lower section of our screen here, your goal is to collect as many yellow balls of light as you can. They will disappear if you take too long to get them, miss too many and the game ends and you get told your score. So our story, essentially, that we're setting up here, we are a wisp, we live around a spirit well, and we feed off the heartbeat of the wellspring. We are tasked with taking in light and recycling it into the world around us, and we keep the balance in our home. The heart beats at its usual slow pace once every 10 seconds, but not all is well, as the heart has started to grow old, wearing itself out with strain. If you cannot fulfill your role, then the wellspring will falter, snuffing out both of your existences. That's pretty dramatic, I have to say. So we've set the stage for something a little bit haughty, perhaps, but this is going to be exciting. So let's try it. First time, 6 beats per minute. We're going to collect some orbs. Here we go. Alright, so looking around, it looks like our entire gameplay area is just this circular region here. It's pretty well laid out, I suppose. A nice shadow effect, I have to say. And there goes our first wave of light balls. I guess the first time we only get one. And I am using the arrow keys, which are in fact mapped to my D-pad right now on my 360 controller, just so I didn't want to be clacking around too unnecessarily. So it's a pretty simple concept from what I can tell. Each time it seems like there's one more light ball than the last time. And I believe the goal here is to just, keep going as fast as we can, make sure we don't get overwhelmed, and try and be as accurate as possible. So, criticisms. First thing I noticed, the controls are extremely, extremely stiff. The ball does not move around very easily. You kind of have to be, predicting where you need to turn way ahead of time and then start leaning in that direction. And then also, since the balls show up in sort of a random configuration, there's definitely a little bit of luck involved. But at the same time, there's something fun to that. I mean, I feel like it's maybe a little frustrating that we're not going to know exactly when we lose, unless maybe there's like an audio cue or something. But from what I can tell, the main screen was a little ambiguous about that. It just said if you miss too many, you'll lose, and I don't really know what that means. Too many, well, I guess maybe we'll find out if we lose a few times. I do like this little dynamic light touch that's going on. The wisp casts this little ball of light around it. I think that's quite lovely. And if you've looked very closely, you might see some particle effects that are actually left in a contrail format behind the actual trail of the wisp. There's actually, like, fairy dust that's hanging in the air, aside from just that wispy, windy, texture that's going on. Sort of looks like he dragged a cobweb or something, and I guess I've missed a few there because it made a crashing sound that time. I'm not sure why we needed to have this, lattice work hanging over the top of our wellspring. I guess it does look nice because it casts that pretty shadow, but at the same time it also just kind of obscures our viewpoint a little bit. Not sure if we wanted that or not. Oh, I missed a bunch on that one. And then the OCD-ness in me is sort of it's bugging me that the light source is not necessarily in the center, so we're seeing this, the light being a little favored heavily over to the one side there, and the shadows are being cast down into the top. But, not a big deal. In the scheme of things, it's really not much of a thing. So it looks like I'm going on a pretty big spree here collecting these light balls, but it doesn't really seem to be keeping track of my score in any way that I can tell. So I guess just when I win, I'll find out if I set a record or anything. Keep in mind, though, when we criticize these games, of course, they are designed in 48 hours. This is an extremely short amount of time to design a game, let alone, create all the assets and everything. So if this was a more full-fledged game with a longer development cycle, I might be a little upset that there isn't really any music, and the game is really just sort of configured around this one little mode, which, many people might consider this to be more like a mini-game. But when you're dealing with a 48-hour development cycle, I understand things happen. And this does seem like quite a lot to even undertake right there. But, it's actually pretty well executed from a, visual perspective. I think it looks nice. And oh, I've lost. Okay. Wasn't expecting to lose quite yet, but I guess we have. So we've collected 160 heartbeats, a valiant effort, and then we have the option to go back to the menu. And let's do that. Alright, so the title screen definitely very bare bones compared to the rest of the aesthetics. But, all in all, not too bad. I certainly could have picked worse from the many, many, many games that were submitted for the LD27 competition. What are there? I think over 2,000 of them. And I'll probably grab, another 10 maybe over the course of the next week or so, or next couple weeks rather, depending on where my scheduling falls in, because there are a few games that I absolutely need to cover that are not part of this competition. In fact, there were still a few of the 7-day FPS games that I didn't quite get to yet. So I'll try and find a balance of that. But for this episode, we will be bringing things to a close. A very short one, I understand, but there's not all that much to say beyond what we've seen. And I just wanted to delve into a couple that look particularly pretty from the screenshots, and I think we've done okay for this one. We can play this one at any point if you want. It is available either in a web browser, or you can download the client for it if you want to play it yourself. Would be kind of a fun thing if there were like some leaderboards, maybe compare scores or something, but unfortunately not really a feature at this point in time. And one of the nice things about the LD competition is that, of course, developers can choose to go back after they finish whatever this prototype or unfinished or worked on to some extent game, and go back and then reimagine or rework or add on to and continue to build upon this concept. So something to look forward to perhaps. But that is going to do it for another episode, guys. So if you want to check out this game, the link is going to be right in the description. Go feel free to play it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Where might you have taken this concept? Do you think it lives up to the 10-second theme? I think it probably does, but I'm curious to hear what your own imagination takes you in that concept. Where would you have augmented this idea to bring it somewhere else to do with 10 seconds if you were to? I feel like a lot of the ones that I've seen already, they seem to go a little bit superficially on the 10-second theme, but there's probably not all that much ground to cover with it. It's a pretty obvious idea to go with 10 seconds. You're going to make things, incremented in 10 seconds for the most part. So if you come up with a really good concept as how you would have used that theme, I'm curious to hear that in the comments. And of course, any support is always welcome. If you enjoyed the episode, feel free to let me know. Likes are always welcome. Comments are always welcome. Whatever you think I deserve, that's all I ask. And I'm glad that you stopped by, and I'm glad we got to check out this game. So hopefully you'll be back again tomorrow for another episode, because they are every single day. It should be around the same time. Right now I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty issue with some stuff behind the scenes, but that should be sorted by the beginning of next week, hopefully. Long story short, hard drive issue, and ordered another one, so we'll get that taken care of as fast as possible. But thank you, of course, for watching, and I will see you again real soon. Have a lovely night, guys. Later.